Once upon a time, in the quaint little town where John Arbuckle, a mild-mannered cartoonist, lived with his two beloved pets Garfield, the rotund and ever-so-sassy orange tabby, and Odie, the cheerful beagle, a storm was brewing. Not in the skies, but in the quietude of their cozy home. It all began one fateful night when Garfield, driven by his insatiable appetite, ventured into the kitchen for a midnight snack. As the refrigerator light illuminated his orange fur, a shadow crept in behind him. Suddenly, Garfield and Odie were whisked away by a duo of dogs, a gruff Shar-Pei named Roland and a sleek whippet named Nolan, who delivered them to an abandoned mall. Captive and confused, Garfield's usually unflappable demeanor cracked. But a surprise awaited him in this dark place: the appearance of his estranged father, Vic. Vic was no ordinary cat. He was a streetwise feline with a rugged past, and Garfield resented him for abandoning him as a kitten. But in this moment, Vic was not the enemy. He was their rescuer. With tension crackling in the air, Vic whisked Garfield and Odie away from their captors, only to reveal that their ordeal was far from over. The true mastermind behind their abduction was Jinx, a deranged Persian cat with a vendetta as sharp as her claws. She sought revenge against Vic for a botched milk heist long ago and now demanded that he, Garfield, and Odie carry out a daring robbery at Lactose Farms to repay her. Reluctantly, Garfield and his companions embarked on this mission, unaware that their every move was being watched by Roland and Nolan. Meanwhile, back at home, John was frantic with worrying, searching high and low for his missing pets, but finding no help in the sleepy town. As Vic, Garfield, and Odie hopped onto a freight train bound for Lactose Farms, the air was thick with unresolved tension. Vic attempted to bridge the chasm between him and his son, but Garfield, hurt and stubborn, refused to engage. It wasn't until they met Otto, a once proud bullnut outcast from the farm, that their mission began to take shape. Otto, heartbroken over being separated from his cow-girlfriend Ethel, agreed to help them break into the farm in exchange for their help in rescuing her. However, the strained relationship between Garfield and Vic threatened to derail their plans. An explosive argument forced Otto and Odie to tie the two cats to a tree, where Vic finally revealed the truth. The night he abandoned Garfield, he had actually gone to fetch food, only to return and find that a kind-hearted man John had taken Garfield in. Knowing John could offer Garfield a better life, Vic had made the painful decision to let him go. For the first time, Garfield understood the depth of his father's sacrifice and forgave him. But their newfound peace was short-lived. Jinx, who had never intended to let go of her grudge, secretly tipped off March Malone, the farm's ruthless animal control officer, about the impending heist. Despite the odds, the trio managed to infiltrate the heavily guarded farm. But just as victory seemed within reach, March swooped in, capturing Garfield and Odie. Vic, torn between his mission and his son, chose the mission only to be betrayed by Jinx, who revealed her true plan. She wanted Vic to suffer as she had, by being sent to the pound. Heartbroken, Garfield and Odie were thrown into a cell with Vic's old crew, who revealed that Vic had always watched over his son from afar, even sacrificing his place in the crew to ensure Garfield's safety. Garfield, now realizing how much his father loved him, was determined to save him. John, never one to give up, arrived just in time to bail Garfield and Odie out of the pound. But Garfield knew he couldn't return to his old life until he had saved his father. With Otto's help, they raced to the high bridge where Jinx intended to throw Vic to his doom. A dramatic showdown ensued, with Garfield, Odie, and Vic fighting for their lives. In a final act of defiance, Jinx knocked them all off the train, but her own hubris was her undoing. As she plummeted into the canyon below, Otto swung into action, saving his friends with a well-placed rope and landing them safely on a net. Their mission complete, Garfield and his crew returned to the farm, delivering Jinx to Marge in exchange for Ethel's freedom. The once villainous Roland and Nolan found a new purpose as Marge's loyal guard dogs, while Jinx was sentenced to community service. As the sun set over John's house, a new chapter began. Vic, no longer a distant memory, moved in with Garfield, Odie, and John, finally becoming a true part of Garfield's life. In the end, Garfield, who once resented his father, found peace in their reconciliation, and their family, strange as it was whole. And that's the wild tale of Garfield's 2024 adventure. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more animated movie breakdowns. Let us know in the comments what you thought of Garfield's latest escapade.